Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Kellen and Alex from Start Your Systems today, and we're bringing you guys another edition of Track Walk and MX Simulator. This is Club Moto by Dylan Copeland. It is a couple week old, well, about a month old release now, and Alex is joining me today to talk about this lovely track. Alex, what do you think? Club Moto? Pretty fun?
Pretty flowy, fun track, I'd have to say.
So this track, the one thing I can already tell with it is I just don't love the shape of the ruts per se. They're like a little bit too late to the corner entry. Like in this corner, I feel like you're on the brakes and turning for a long time before the ruts start. Maybe that's just me. I don't know if that's you, but that's the first thing I can feel on the track.
Yeah, one thing I notice is they kind of start a little abruptly and end a little abruptly in some spots. In other spots, it's fine. But yeah, and then there's a couple like the double apex corners like this.
Yeah. It is a good track. It's a replica track of, I believe, a NorCal track that's actually close to where Dylan Copeland's from. And D-Cope has done a lot of cool tracks of late, mostly supercross tracks, but this is one of the motocross tracks that he put together. And it's got that kind of cool, like, evening, sun going down vibe a little bit, like, kind of like a dusk, I guess. And I don't know much about this track, but it does seem like it's got like some darker dirt, maybe a little more like rich dirt for California. I'm not 100% sure if that's accurate, but just what I'm picking up. And then lots of big jumps all over the track, big jumps for whips and scrubs and other things. I don't know. You're better than me at this, Alex. So do you like the jumps everywhere?
Yeah, the jumps definitely are good for whips. This one can kick you, but just like that.
Yeah. Well, I stuck with you for a lap, and now you're just going to absolutely blow my doors off. What about this track, though, do you think, did he do the best on? Environment, jump shapes, ruts, corners? Like, is there anything that sticks out in your mind as like, yeah, he got it really right there?
I feel like the jump, just the shapes of the jumps are really good. The ruts, other than like what we talked about earlier, are pretty good, and they hold you nice. And just the braking bumps and the flow of the track's really nice, I'd have to say. Yeah,
and with Copeland's tracks too, like he's done a lot of tracks. Like normally he's making supercross tracks, which I mentioned, so he's obviously got kind of more jump shapes down. But I actually do think he did a pretty solid job with environment here. Like he got some nice long casting shadows on that dusky feel. He's got the Cherby stakes all around the racetrack. He's got, like different cherry lifts and signs and other things like that. Like, again, I don't know much about this track, but it does feel like a local track to the area. If I could guess, like it does have that good feel to it for sure.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Like he didn't overdo it with the stuff because you can tell it's more of a local track, but he didn't overdo it, but it's still really well done.
Now, being faster than I am in this game, obviously, do you feel like overall, this track is like spread out enough for the speeds that you're carrying? Like, is there any jumps or anything that catches you off guard because it's too short or comes at you too fast? I mean, obviously, he's probably restricted because it's a little bit more close to the real life track as possible, but what do you feel about the flow of the track, I guess, is the question I'm asking.
As far as like jumps go, you can carry your speed. You don't have to like slam on the brakes for anything. So I feel like that flows really well. The corners, nothing is like super sharp, like, oh, where did that come from? I think as far as that goes, it's really nice. And like you said, it's a replica track, so I assume it would be good in real life. So I feel like he did a good job of that.
Yeah, as a replica, I'm actually kind of shocked at some of the jump sizes on this track. Like, I'm not 100% sure that it's absolutely to a T accurate, but I'd assume it would be. And there's like some big triples and like big gap doubles and stuff like that, which I don't necessarily feel like I see on a lot of tracks. Like, yeah, some tracks around here where I live, and I'm sure where you live, have like these bigger jumps and stuff like that, but this is kind of like the whole track is like big hits, big booters.
Yeah, there's some bigger doubles, but I think with the triples, it's good that they are triples. They're not just doubles.
Right.
Because with the triples, if you have a lower level rider, they can just double it.
That's true, yeah. So they don't get landed on.
Yeah.
Oh, almost whipping in your back here.
Oh, I'm
dead. Corked. Come on, bring it back. Kind of looking around at the top of the hill here. Nice layout, nice overall feel of the track. And someone else actually did do this track recently other than Dylan, so shout out to him for also making a rendition of this track. But obviously Copeland, from being from around the area and being one of the more common track creators in the game these days, did a pretty killer job with this. Do you like D Cope's tracks regularly, like most of his Supercross tracks and some of the other ones he's made?
Yes, I really enjoy them. I feel like the scaling's one of the best out of the track makers for the jumps and berms and stuff. And his tracks always have a good flow, and I enjoy that. Because I play the game to have fun, you know?
Yeah.
Tracks that are fun, I ride more.
Do you think that because he is like really fast and a pro in the game and all that stuff, it helps when it comes to building tracks? Like when you compare to other people that maybe aren't as fast as him, do you think you get a sense for like, oh, he knows how fast you can go in these corners and hit these jumps and stuff like that, so he's a little bit better about sculpting everything because of that?
I definitely think that helps when it comes to making tracks. I definitely think being a track maker helps, because you'll ride people's tracks that aren't quite as good as the game, and you can quad stuff and do these unrealistic hits because they don't know that it's possible.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like that's a helping factor.
Yeah, I feel like every time I play his tracks, I just get the sense that because he is faster, he just like kind of knows what the game is going to do and how things are going to react on corner exits and stuff like that. Because I do sometimes play tracks that are like really good environment, jump shapes are good and stuff like that, but then they have like one or two random jumps that you're just like, man, those are either huge hits or like just kind of awkward for, you know, where they are. And this one is different just because it's a replica, but I always like Copeland's ability to kind of connect everything together in one smooth flow and not have anything that sticks out as, that's not really a jump that should be there or a corner like that or whatever. So I like D-Cope stuff.
Yep, I have to agree. And like the transitions between the jumps are good. And I think another thing too is the braking bumps and the roughness that he makes. Mm-hmm. That flows together and nothing like kicks you really funny.
Yeah, exactly.
He knows how the bumps work and how they're gonna kick you. So.
Yeah, and we're not playing with Erode right now, but have you ever tried his tracks with Erode on?
I have not. I did not try this one on Erode. Yeah,
I'm curious, not necessarily with this one because it does seem like it's built not for Erode, but with his Supercross tracks, if he does build those like with Erode in mind, like I guess that's something that we could have tested out a little bit beforehand, but like obviously having to race with Erode in our Race Factory stuff, he probably has a good idea of what he wants the track to feel like when he plays it. I'd have to imagine he also takes that into account as well, which is something that, again, not everybody always thinks about when they're building tracks these days. It's just like, build a track, build a layout, build an environment, but there's more to it these days with track building.
Yep. And correct me if I'm wrong, but he's part of the RF track crew, correct?
Yeah, so now he is too. So like he was initially just like a tester because he was fast and they needed help with people who could triple stuff that shouldn't be tripled and whatever. But yeah, he now helps out with like building tracks and stuff like that as well. So I feel like this is like a mean statement, but I feel like all the good track creators in this game end up being kind of stolen by the Race Factory Gaming track crew. Because they're like, and you're good, so we'll take your abilities and move them over here. And then it like community-wise, it sucks, I guess, a little bit because then we don't get like really cool custom tracks anymore. But obviously, like the real racing tracks that you race on are top-notch stuff. But I feel like that's just kind of the case. Like if you're good, Race Factory's coming knocking on the door. So it kind of says a lot about what Copeland is and how good of a creator he is in this game.
Yep. I mean, you look at guys like Checkers.
Yeah.
he was the guy complaining that he never got time to build custom stuff. But
right.
Yeah, I feel like as a part of the RF crew, like you were saying, if as far as your road goes, he gets to play with the settings some and test some of their settings.
Yeah.
So he knows what that goes like.
So in a recent episode of Track Walk that I did, I think it was on Gatorback Cycle Park, I talked about how, generally speaking, I feel people enjoy when they see their local track end up, not in like a track walk video, but just in game so that they can play it and try it out and see what it feels like. Are you of that opinion too? Like, is it really cool to you when your local tracks end up as a track that is in MX Simulator or even MX Bikes and you can feel what it plays like in a video game as well as just in real life?
Yeah, I definitely am one of those people. As a matter of fact, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before. I believe Jacob Hubbard released a local track, Martin MX Park. And I hadn't ridden there yet, but I was planning on it. I really wanted to, so I actually went and played the track in game before going there in real life to get an idea of the layout.
Yeah.
So that was really helpful for me to just get the track figured out.
And a part of why I started Track Walk too, and I wanted to ask you this question, is like I've always just been fascinated with track building and different track designs and stuff like that. So it was really cool to make a series that was kind of about that and like how people build tracks and different layouts and stuff like that. Are you like, do you feel the same way? Like you picked up Sim and you're like, wow, this is really cool. How many different tracks I can play, and it's not just like the 5 tracks that end up in a game. You can add tracks to your folders and stuff like that too.
Yep. I came to this game from Reflex, and there you have a limited amount of beta slots, and so you can only have a certain amount of tracks at a time. So coming to a game where you can literally have an unlimited amount of tracks, your only limit is the size of your hard drive.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So yeah, it was really a really cool aspect.
Oh man, and I've found that limit way too many times. Freaking people, so many skins, so many tracks, like unbelievable. That's part of the problem. So like I wanted to make a server, like I was just telling you, with all the Track Walk tracks in it, but then it kind of sucks too because you have to have 200 tracks in your folder or else you're gonna get booted from the server all the time. So
yeah, exactly.
maybe whatever I do when I end up making the server, it'll just be like whatever the track was that past week will be, you know, up in the server for the time being. I think that's maybe an easier way to go about it.
A little bit of a catch-22 there.
Yeah, you don't want 200 tracks in your personal folder that you only play because you go in this one janky server that I made. So it's a better way of approaching it. All right, well, I don't know if you have an opinion on this, Alex, but if you could rank this track, maybe like 1 out of 10, just holistically, like environment, actual design, whether or not he, you know, got pretty close to the replica, which I'm sure neither of us really know that much about, but other things like that, like where do you think this falls? I'm assuming it's not the best track you've ever played, but can you give it a number if you could?
If I had to pick a number, I'd probably maybe like a 7 or an 8.
7? Okay.
Because I mean, as far as the realism go, I've never seen the real track, so I don't know how that correlates. But no, just the environment, the flowiness of it, and the jumps are fun. It's just a really fun track to just go chill out on, you know?
Yeah.
But
now,
like you said, it's not the best track I've ever seen.
Yeah. If this was a track that like you downloaded by yourself, you weren't going to do this video with me, would you go to like, hey Ethan, you should try out this track? Like, would you recommend to your friends?
I'd probably be like, hey Ethan, come join this track or come join the server. We're gonna do an edit on this track.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's another thing that you were talking about before this, is that you like to, like, one of the bigger things that you do when you look for tracks anymore is if the track is something that you could do an edit on, and I'd imagine a lot of that has to do with whether or not the environment is good. So environment-wise, you think that this one probably falls into a pretty good category, I'm assuming?
Yep, I think just the color's nice, and the rolling hills around it makes it so like you're at the edge of the track, you don't just see off into the abyss like some tracks. So that's really nice, and it's not overdone, it's simple, but still professionally done.
All right, well, this has been another edition of Track Walk in MX Simulator with myself, Kellen Brower, and our very own FemMX SYS Racing Team athlete, Alex Heckman. E-athlete, whatever you want to call him. You can check him out at Heckman Productions. I know sometimes you're posting videos over there. I saw you do a live stream earlier this week. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, out of the blue.
Out of the blue, right? Do you still post real-life riding videos over there too?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, there you go. We'll have a link to that in the description below if you want to check out his channel. But thanks again for watching another edition of Track Walk here in MX Simulator. Be sure to download the track in the description below if you haven't already. And we'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.
See you guys.